Hello, everybody. This is Big Law, Locked On Virginia. We got a special show today. I got my man, Casey Pazzalia, coming in, and we're going to give you kind of the whole world of University of Virginia sports, football, basketball, and baseball.
You are Locked On Virginia, your daily podcast on the Virginia Cavaliers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good day, viewers and listeners. I'm your host, Big Law, Lawrence Johnson, and welcome to the Locked On Virginia Cavaliers podcast, the first place to come to get your Wahoo fix every day as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Our title sponsor today, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. As you can see today, everybody, I got my guy Casey in the building from the Virginia Game Day Podcast. How you doing, Casey?
Oh, very good, very good. We got a couple of days off here after the win over Syracuse, so just catching up on other ACC games, and got some baseball stuff today, some football stuff. So happy to be here.
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, we're digging in deep, man. I mean, I guess this is the great time of the year where we have some football news. There's no games, but we got a lot of football news. We got some basketball news. Of course, the team is still ascending, and we're going to talk about that, where they are, what we should expect, a little bit of bracketology as well. And then we're going to get into some baseball news from the baseball report from my man Casey at the plate. So I think that's what we're going to call the segment, Casey at the plate. What do you think, bro?
That was a famous story, a famous book, Casey at the Bat.
Yeah.
Can't remember her. Ernest Thayer, and the mighty Casey has struck out.
You're right. But we're gonna call this one Casey at the plate. So it's a little bit of it's a play on it. So yeah,
I like it.
So let's go ahead and just jump into what we got here with the basketball squad. We're gonna knock them out first. So right now the basketball team's doing extremely well and rising. We haven't even seen the best of this basketball team yet. Right now the record 17-3, 9-2. Keep in mind, they actually are a half a game out from first, because Clemson took a L. They lost yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that one coming a mile away. I had Boston College. Clemson is a little bit of a pretender to me, and their record might not show it, but they didn't do a ton in non-conference. They lost to South Carolina earlier in the year, and South Carolina that's a bad loss. That's a quad 4 loss, and they they've done their thing in conference play, but when you just look at the analytics and their overall rankings and stuff, you knew it was bound to happen. The losses are going to start catching up with them. And they will not be at the top of the conference come the end of the season. That I can promise you.
Wow, great prediction coming from my man Casey. Now, we're talking about the Clemson team who's been leading the ACC from the start for the most part, and the Blue Bloods kind of outside of Virginia, starting to catch up now. They had some issues in the beginning of the year, meaning the Dukes and the North Carolinas. And it seems like, they're starting to catch up. Of course, Virginia has always kind of been there. And even Miami's starting to make, surge, and Wake Forest starting to surge a little bit. What's your opinion of the North Carolina Duke? Because they got a big game coming up as well. Who's going to prevail?
That's exactly
in those
right.
Games?
That's exactly right. They are coming in for a crash course this weekend. It's kind of like rivalry weekend. We got Duke and Carolina, we got Virginia, Virginia Tech. I know there's some rivalry games in the SEC, so I imagine that's by design. And I like North Carolina right now. North Carolina's getting healthy at the right time. When Virginia played them, they were without Pete Nance, their big transfer from Northwestern. He's healthy now. He just had a really good game against Syracuse, 21 points, assists and rebounds galore. So I like North Carolina in that game. They're getting healthy. They're 1-4 straight. You know,
Mm.
at the same time, it's going to be a great game because you know how crazy those Duke games get, and it is on the road. But I'll take the Tar Heels there.
Yeah, it looks like we have them. We got them one more time. I mean, you know, and it's in Chapel Hill. That's February 25th.
Yep.
So that's going to be a huge game on a Saturday, and we'll see how this team shakes out and how they're going to hopefully pull this game out. But I'm also thinking about Duke, and Duke also starting to get their stuff together. Wake Forest, always just, especially lately, a tough team. They're really a real up and down team, but they're up now. They won it last year with Alonde Patterson. I believe is his last name.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was integral player, one of the top players in the ACC, along with a few others that are still here, like Armando Baycott. A player who can change the game, off of a few rebounds, and he can start going on a streak. Did you see? Did you see that UVA actually went up in the AP by a position? They're the sixth
Yeah,
ranked
they're up.
team now.
Yeah, they're up to number 6 now. They're by far the highest ranked ACC team in the conference as far as in every metric really. They're the highest ranked team, and right now when you look at like a bracket standpoint, we're still at that seven team cluster there of being in Virginia being the highest, Duke, Miami, UNC, NC State, Clemson, and then Pittsburgh would be the last
Mm.
team in right now per Joe Lenardi, old Joey brackets there at ESPN. But I must say, Pittsburgh is right on the cusp there. They're on the last 4 line. So they're playing as we speak. They're playing North Carolina. I don't know how much that will hurt them if they lose on the road to a North Carolina team, but
Mm-hmm.
that could be something to look for. And then on the outside looking in right now, we have a Wake Forest team, like you mentioned, losers of their last 4 games. So they've hit a rough patch, um, and they're on the outside of the tournament looking in. Luckily, those 4 games they played have been against pretty good teams. And also on the outside looking in is a Virginia Tech team that we'll see this weekend. And Virginia Tech has, they started out red hot, 11-1. You remember it earlier in the year they were beating everyone, beating some good teams there, and then they just hit a real rough stretch. They had some injuries,
Yeah, their
and
shooter went down.
Couture,
Yeah,
yeah, Couture
yeah.
went down, and then they had a little saving grace there, beating Duke, which was a nice win for them, and it also stopped their 7-game losing streak. So
Mm-hmm.
they're currently 3-8 in conference play, but they have some work to do if they want to get into the big dance conversation.
But right now, quickly, we had Pitt 34, UNC 33 at halftime. So
Oh, it's a good
that's for
game.
that game.
It's a
Yeah,
good
that's a
game.
great game. But yeah, so you're talking a little bit of bracketology before we started off here on the show. So, what's some of the bracketology you're talking about pertaining to the University of Virginia?
So University of Virginia right now is a 3 seed, the highest in the ACC. I will note that they are the best 3 seed. So if you look at the overall rankings in Lenardi's deal, they're number 9. So the 4-1 seeds, the 4-2 seeds, and they're the first 3 seeds. So they're right on the cusp there of moving up and being a 2, potentially doing some work and being a 1. Uh, the problem is after these next couple games, they have 3
Mm-hmm.
strong games in a row. They have Virginia Tech on the road, which is a
Mm-hmm.
quad 1 win, a quad 1 game. Then they have NC State and Duke, who are good teams at home, which are um, also big games. After that, because the ACC is a little bit down this year, they don't have a ton of chances to get big wins. But
Mm-hmm.
if they can continue this this the streak they've been on, beat Virginia Tech on the road, that's a big one. That's probably the most important one of all. That could give them a little favor in the eyes of the bracketologists out there.
Well, and also just straight wins. You keep winning, with their resume, you keep winning. Right now they're at 17 wins, correct?
They are currently, let me look. Yeah, they're 17-3.
So right now we have I'm gonna count the games really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 games left. So if they can get to 25 games, win 25 games before tournament play, maybe
Mhm.
they can get to that number two, high two, or number one seed, even depending on how some of these other teams out there
Yeah.
start to falter.
A lot of that is going to depend on how some of the other teams do. And then, I'd like to see Virginia kind of go on a nice run in the ACC tournament as well. We should be locked in for a double bye there, so that's good. But the four number one seeds right now are Purdue, Alabama, Tennessee, and Houston. So we'll see how those guys do, and there's always a chance. There's always a
Mm-hmm.
chance. And with the analytics and stuff, sometimes it matters how you beat teams. Uh, if you blow out a Duke or if you blow out a Virginia Tech, you blow out a North Carolina, that helps, I'm sure. So, Virginia's never really been about style points, but
Yeah,
it
just
matters. I mean, Virginia Tech last year, they really didn't have a ton of good wins at all, but they were beating bad teams by a ton of points, and it was really helping them in the ranking system. So that matters sometimes.
that's right. That's right. You know what else matters is this year the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's number one sports book. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the number one sports book in America, FanDuel. And if you are new to FanDuel, it's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports books easy and fun. Download FanDuel now so you can bet the Super Bowl 57 and with the no sweat first bet offer. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from money line, point spreads, to who will score the first touchdown. FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at fanduel.com/locked on to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's fanduel.com/locked on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. That's where everything's going, man. You need just everybody just get on there and just bet. FanDuel is awesome. Just and this is the time of the year. You got the brackets, whether you know it or not, you're gambling, and then you also have the Super Bowl coming up. Best time of the year to jump in. So, uh, but back to our bracketology, we talked about the UVA team starting to ascend. They're at number 6 right now, and
Hmm.
I think Tony Bennett kind of has a team where he wants the team to add right now. He's still doing some tweaking and experimenting, but he has so many options. He's versatile. He got a lot of
Yeah.
different pieces to put in there, and you've seen him do that. He went from no big or hardly any real bigs. As far as not having Caden or Cafaro in the game, to having small bigs. Playing the 4 and 5. I've seen him have Ryan Dunn, uh, Jaden Gardner. And then a
Yeah.
combination
Against
of guards.
Syracuse.
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
And Syracuse, they had Gardner as the big, and
Mm-hmm.
it burned him a couple times, but against that zone, it's tough. That zone that Syracuse was playing was scary good. When when they have Joe Girard out of the game and they have all their long guys out there and they're moving on a string like that,
Mm-hmm.
they're engaged and they want to win. The
That's right.
Syracuse teams have a difficult time uh, with motivation sometimes, but they were motivated for the Virginia game, and yeah, it was scary. Shout out to Kihei Clark he had like 12 assists maybe, because he's so small, he was able to sneak in the middle of that zone
Mm-hmm.
and kind of dictate the game from there. He'd get the ball at the foul line extended, and
Mm-hmm.
be able to make a quick bounce pass down low or kick it back out to three. Great game by Kihei, and he's been doing that against Syracuse's zone for years now.
Yes, he has. Or he'll just throw over to somebody for a lob. He did that about three
Yeah,
or four times. I know Caden caught one, Dunn caught one, and he may have hit somebody else.
yeah, that Dunn
With
one was
another.
scary.
Yeah, man, one-handed, just it's crazy, man. But so the basketball team's in good hands, of course, with Tony. And let's talk a little football news.
Let's do it.
Today was another signing day. Looks like Virginia had 20 players signed up, pretty much the players they already had for early signing day. No surprises, what I understood. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Casey.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember we had the early signing day and we signed 20 something. What's changed since then? What's the update there?
The update is, we were in the running for offensive lineman, Mejia, and he wound up signing with Oklahoma State. And of course, that's a huge need for us. Of course, Coach Elliott has said in his presser today that he's leaving some spots open. Number one, because he still needs some linemen, I think some more experienced linemen, but also
Mm-hmm.
for the second signing period, which is after the spring game. And also, not to mention, they announced the spring game, which is going to be
Cool.
April 15th. I plan on being there. You think you're going to be there, Casey?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. And it'll be an emotional event because it'll be the first time the boys getting back on the field after the tragedy. So I plan on
Yeah.
being there for that
Yeah,
as well.
maybe we'll go together.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'll see what we can do from a media standpoint. And then, okay, they also just nonchalantly, it seems to me, just dropped the football schedule. It wasn't any hoopla or anything, was it? It's just like,
No, it
oh,
was
here's the
well,
schedule. Like, okay, the schedule's here. So, and we'll dissect the schedule. We'll go game by game, maybe in another week or so. On another episode, and we'll go by, you know, should be a win, should be a loss. Can they compete?
yeah.
But it's looking grim right now. Before we, get too deep on it, but they did drop the schedule, and you guys can find that out. But 20 players are signed. All of them are 3 stars at one person, and that's the Cameron Robinson, 4-star linebacker out of the South, who out of Florida actually, and they actually kind of put all their eggs in his basket and said, "You're the crown jewel of this class, and you're
Yeah.
gonna pretty much lead it."
And didn't Tony Elliott announce that they're going to be wearing patches to commemorate the guys, or
Yeah,
he said
maybe.
something?
Yeah, I didn't catch that one, that part, but yeah, it probably that would not
Yeah,
surprise
that
me.
would be cool. They're gonna honor those guys for as they should for from now on. I think they
Absolutely,
might
man. Yeah,
have it on the field or something forever, or something in the stadium.
that's right.
Would be
That's
nice.
right. It would be nice, man, and I think that they'll do something like that to honor them. Locked On is heading to the Senior Bowl. Get inside analysis from hosts that cover the next NFL's generation in college and find out which NFL draft boards these players will be climbing, all in one location. Subscribe to Locked On NFL Draft for nightly live shows from the Senior Bowl on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So yes, Senior Bowl's here, and we'll see how these players continue to go out. I know my man Dontavian is down there probably putting in some work. I got to check on him here pretty soon. But let's go, man. Let's we know what's coming now. What's coming next is we got lacrosse and baseball
Mhm.
coming up for the spring. I know we got to get through basketball, the spring game and all that. Oh, in other news too, they're just dropping these gems. It's just these, they're doing the early season tournament for the basketball is in Fort Myers, Florida. You see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I
that's
did.
another thing. And I want to go to that. I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
around
anytime you
November.
can get
Go,
away from this
hmm
weather and to be working, that's
Yeah, go to Florida.
a home run, man.
In November, I'll take it.
I'd like Virginia to go to the Maui Invitational one time, so we can.
Yeah.
They were early on in Tony Bennett's career. They went to Maui, but
Well,
I'd
they
like
were
them to go again. No,
the championship year. They went to the Bahamas. I went with them there.
oh really?
Yeah, that was a
Whew,
blast. That was a blast. And
I
they
can
won that
imagine,
tournament.
man.
Then they wound up winning the title, later that year. But yeah, man. But let's see. Maybe I don't know what you can do, but maybe we can coordinate for that event as well.
Yeah, totally.
You know. So yeah, man. Let's kind of you know what? Before we jump into some baseball, looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all of the fat and calories. You got to try Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier, but don't want the compromised taste, then man, I've got the treat for you. You've got to try Built Bar. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious, you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolutions. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievably good flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut, and almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And that's even better is that they are healthy, only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get the box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built bars at Built.com. Now you can get them in your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box, cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-box bar with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later. So, Casey, this is Casey at the plate.
Hey, hey.
Casey at the plate segment we just created on the fly. That's how we do. Casey's gonna be my baseball correspondent out there on the grounds in Charlottesville. We already got the okay to do it, and that's gonna be my guy out there. So let's talk some baseball. We are what, number 19, 18th rank?
19th, yes, that's all I was gonna say. This Virginia baseball team is 19th. Obviously, last year they had a great season. Starting out, they were ranked as high as the number 2 in the country. Um, Later in the season, we had some bad breaks, and we faltered in the back third of the year. And
Mm-hmm.
then when we got to the regional, we won a game, but then it wasn't able to close it out in advance, unfortunately. But the good thing is last year we had so many first years playing and getting that experience, and all of the significant guys are back. So from an offensive perspective, we have just a ton of talent, led, of course, by the 2 All-Americans, Jake Geloff, who hit 21 home runs last year, and Kyle Teal, who is their catcher. Both preseason All-Americans, both huge parts of the team. When Geloff and Teal, when I say Geloff and Teal, I always think they're like a law firm because they're
Mm-hmm.
packaged together. They
That's
came in
right.
they came in at the same year, and now they're growing together, and they're both studs. Um, and ironically, there's another Teal on the team now as well. Aiden Teal, Kyle Teal's brother, is also on the team now. He's a first year, and there will be there's some question marks still on this team, which we could talk about.
Well, look,
But
brother,
from
it can still be a law firm, Teal and Geloff. I mean,
Till.
that even sounds more like a law firm, Till and Geloff.
The offense is locked and loaded with Geloff, Teal, Justin Rubin is back, Griff O'Farrell, obviously the starting shortstop, leadoff hitter, um, and then I don't know how deep you want to go in the weeds here, but Chris Newell was one of our draft picks last year. Was with the team forever. He was our like every day penciled in center field.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Alex Tappan every day penciled in left field. Uh, so those guys moving on, we had a hole in the outfield. So not unlike any other sport, you can hit the transfer portal or you can bring in through high school and that sort of thing. Our projected center fielder to take Chris Newell's place is Ethan O'Donnell. Ethan O'Donnell played at Northwestern for a bunch of 2 seasons, and he is currently ranked as the number 15 most impactful transfer out of
Wow.
the portal. So
Okay.
he's going to be taking Chris Newell's place in center field most likely. He's a good player. He hit over 290 at Northwestern. Uh, Hits for power as well. Can cover a lot of ground, and we could know he's done it at this level. You know, playing in the Big Ten is just like playing in the ACC. So it's not like you're getting a guy from Radford or something.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it. He's proven, and we have a lot of other transfers too who came in from some smaller schools, but they will obviously get their opportunities, and I have no doubt that they will contribute. But I feel like Ethan O'Donnell is a ready-made everyday starter right now.
Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about, this team being ranked, number 19, my
Mm-hmm.
vested interest, of course, is with the team, but even more deeply, we're talking about Jay Wolford. You
Oh,
know,
of course.
because he's the de facto quarterback who actually has played and started a game on the team,
Mm-hmm.
the only quarterback that's left. But not to mention, he's also a budding star pitcher for the baseball team. Now, what they do with him, I will be interested to know what they're going to do, whether he's going to close or he's going to be, will they bump him into the rotation and give him a shot? What do you think they'll
Ooh.
do with Jay?
I think strictly from how many times do you want his arm going forward, in that motion? I don't think he'll be put into position to start. Now, I could be wrong, but from what I can imagine the coaches' conversations are like, this could be our starting quarterback next year. We had a really
Mm-hmm.
rough year last year. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have a ton of options. We have Tony Muskett, we have Jay Wolfolk. If something happens to his arm, where it might be SOL. So
Mm-hmm.
I do like him coming out of the pen. Last year they used him a lot.
Yeah, he was the setup man last year.
Yeah, yeah. They let me look. They used him. He threw 37 innings last year.
Mm.
37 innings out of the pen. That's a lot of innings. That's a lot of
Yeah.
innings. 37 innings out of the pen. But everyone knows if you go to a game, you need to sit up behind the bullpen and watch him warm up. That's one of the most exciting things that you could do at the stadium is watch Jay Wolfolk warm up because he throws with such freakish power. It looks faster than 95 when you're down there watching it up close.
I was gonna
And he
ask. I heard mid
throws cheddar.
'90s. Yeah,
Yeah,
those the cheese,
the
the cheese
cheese, man. He
whiz.
throws cheese. And
So, like
yeah,
right
so
now, I mean, mid '90s is give us his pitch repertoire really quick.
I'm not sure what his pitch repertoire is. I know he's got fastball. He's got
Change up.
yeah, probably two seamer. I have to look and be completely sure. But when you're coming in as a closer or setup, you want to pump him with the gas. That's going to be the main thing, and just spotting up the 95. That spotting up 95 is very, very difficult to hit. So, and then having a little bit of off-speed stuff, which I'm sure he does, and he was very effective last year. Guys only hit 211 off of him in 37 innings, so those are really good numbers. And he was in there against high leverage situations against really good teams. So, he was going up against some good sticks.
Yeah, man, this is exciting. This is exciting. Do we have any dates as far as when do we? I know is it end of this month we kick off?
Yeah, they have a tournament. They start off with a tournament mid-February.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 2 weeks out really now. A tournament in Wilmington, Delaware, Wilmington, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Okay.
And then after that, we have home games on the 21st, 24th, 25th, 26th, 28th. So, I mean, we have 5 home games in the month of February. So we're in the month already. So this is totally relevant. Baseball's coming up faster than you can imagine.
Yeah.
Probably want to wear your long sleeve UVA baseball hoodie out to the park, but
Mm-hmm.
they're getting ready to ramp up, and I know we're getting close to being finished here, but the one big question mark is the pitching staff. We don't have a lot of them back from last year. The starting pitching staff. I mean, Jake Berry is really the only returning starter from a year ago. We do have a couple of guys out of the transfer portal. Nick Parker from Coastal Carolina. There's a guy from Army. I can't remember his name, and some first years coming in. So they're going to have a rotation set. It's just a matter of can they step up to the plate, no pun intended, and be those high level starters that we need.
Is it enough? I mean, is it unproven talent, or is it
No.
okay?
So
Is it
Jake
just
Berry
we
is
just
our
don't know the names? Is that what it is?
so Jake Berry is our returning starter from last year. 6'10" lefty. If you're
Mm-hmm.
facing him, if you're standing in the batter's box, that's an intimidating sight. 6'10".
Right.
He started. He wasn't a full time starter last year. He started 9 games, so he's back. He had a 4.79 ERA. That's pretty good. When you're going to be like a top 5, top 10 team, your starters are going to have probably your ERA is a little bit below that.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have the depth of guys who can start midweek games, guys who can go long into games.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Parker is the guy from Coastal Carolina. He started and won last year in the regional. He's got tournament experience. That's huge. We actually played Coastal Carolina. I don't think we faced him though. So he's a big addition to the starting rotation. He'll probably jump right in there. Connolly Early, he's the guy from Army. Connolly Early is also has tournament experience, and he's also one of the top 50 impact transfers this year. So you can imagine he's going to be plugged right into the rotation. With pitching more than hitting, I feel like that transfer's easier.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Army, right? So when you're at Army, if you're spotting your pitches, throwing hard, having good off speed stuff, I think that's easier to transfer a level up because obviously Army isn't quite as this competition isn't quite as good as Virginia. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's easier for a guy to go from Army to Virginia as a starter than Army to Virginia as a second baseman or something like that.
I got you. Pitching translates. I got you.
Yeah.
Well, man, as you guys can see, we got a lot to talk about coming up in the spring, and my man Casey at the plate going to keep us all informed on it. But yeah, man, how can they get to you? How can they find you and let everybody know where you are?
Well, I am at Virginia Game Day on Instagram, and then the Virginia Game Day podcast wherever you can find your major podcast platforms. I'm all over there. So appreciate you guys for listening to this podcast and for those who check out Virginia Game Day.
Absolutely, man. Great ending there. And yes, appreciate all of you for tuning in, week out. We can't do it without you. We love you for that. And I'll be back tomorrow. Today, of course, is my birthday's tomorrow. So this is kind of
man, happy
a
birthday.
pre-birthday show. Yeah. And get ready to, hopefully and take some time and enjoy the day. But just tune in tomorrow. It'll be a birthday episode from me. We want to thank you for making Locked On Virginia your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball, with experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. They bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, hear your big name experts, coaches, and players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, guys. We will see ya tomorrow, and wahoo wah.